In a previous, we're gonna watch this real quick. This was a previous. This is on the 18th. I think this kind of slipped under the cracks here, and what they are starting to see. Because look, obviously the CDC, be it and world leaders, WHOs, they of course among themselves are having conversations that they don't make public every day, obviously. And usually it's like, okay, we need to all be on the same page when this is going to be the official narrative that we run with. But sometimes they say the quiet parts out loud. And I think what's happening is specifically really what's going on with Israel is that these guys are getting more and more nervous that the narrative, if that's what you want to call it, is starting to kind of break apart for a couple of different reasons. But mainly it's that, okay, with Israel and more studies saying that natural immunity seems to be better, or at least you're more protected. Like all of that's an important thing. But like I mentioned before, I don't know if the variant thing is it's just like them trying to fall back on something, or if this was the case all along. It's hard to say. You're never going to get the truth. But this is we're going to listen to Walensky at this White House COVID-19 sort of briefing and what she had to say real quick.
And maybe if I might, Jeff, just add, another piece of data that we've been looking at is our international colleagues who are ahead of us, both in the Delta surge as well as have vaccinated a few weeks ahead of us in terms of large portions of their population that have been vaccinated. And data we're seeing from our international colleagues, specifically and especially Israel, have demonstrated a worsening of infections amongst vaccinated people over time. And so we remain concerned about that as we see in the context of Delta variant, some breakthroughs that are occurring and decreased vaccine effectiveness that is occurring in the context of infection. We are watching the experience of other countries carefully and concerned that we too will see what Israel is seeing, which is worsening infections over time.
Yes. And just for context there, that's her basically saying that, yeah, we've been paying to our international colleagues, namely Israel. And that's where a lot of the information comes from, because Israel was the perfect storm, right? Israel, let me say this. If what they said was true, or rather what they thought that this vaccine was supposed to do, and it was actually going to do that, or rather that it actually did that, and that was the impact, what's going on in Israel right now would not be going on, period. It just wouldn't be happening. But unfortunately it is. So they got the perfect storm where they did get this variant, but also they had high vaccination rates. And yes, they're having they're having a lot of hospitalizations. They're having not necessarily deaths, but they're still having cases. So with spread and infection rates and all of that sort of stuff, they're still having those problems, right? Now, yeah, that's not them saying that, and I'm not going to sit up here and straw man them. I'm not saying that they're saying not to get the vaccine. Of course not. They would never even do that anyway. I'm not even suggesting that they're saying that there's still less benefit, or rather they're saying that there's not benefit to getting it. Of course they're saying that it's benefit to getting it. They're still going to tell you to get it. However, a lot of the narratives are breaking apart. And namely, with what's going on with Israel, it's that how protected are you in the event that you got the vaccine? If you get multiple doses, if you get boosters, how protected are you? Definitely in comparison to those that are getting it like naturally. So they're getting it, recovering it as most people do, and comparing those infections. See, that was what I said would be the breakthrough in itself. So Israel is the perfect combo. So you had some of these studies talk about Cleveland, some of these studies that are coming to New York, coming out talking about long-standing antibodies and all of that, and natural immunity in some way, shape, or form seeming to be better in comparison to those that got vaccinated when it comes to reinfection and what symptoms that you're going to get. So someone that's fully recovered, never gotten a vaccine, versus someone that just got the vaccine or whatever. Like, yeah, I get that. But Israel has higher vaccination percentages of their population than a lot of what's going on in the United States. So this shouldn't be happening, but it is. So they're losing sort of control of that talking point that they've had for so long. And as Walensky mentioning, or as she mentioned, that being worsening, the efficiency rates of the vaccines don't seem to be as high. You're seeing worsening cases among those that are vaccinated. Of course, it's something that they're going to worry about. But this is all stuff that I'm not saying that their opinion can't change or that people's opinions or positions can't change. More so, what's so frustrating out of this. So if you're one of those uber pro-vaccine mandate guys, what's so frustrating about this to guys like myself that have been on a different side of this and just believed in freedom and free will and allowing people to make whatever decisions is that you had such an issue with people having ideas to the contrary or being cautious is more so what it is. It's less about anything other than that. It's just being cautious and being mindful of what it is that they inject in their body. And maybe this was something that they could have picked up on if they had more of a longer standing trial or with the vaccine before they started, let's say, making it so widely accepted and embraced by people all around the country. It was an emergency kind of situation, so they wanted to hurry up and roll it out. But yeah, that doesn't mean that there's not going to be any problems. So this is why when people say safe, and I'm like, I get it. There's rarity, there's breakthrough cases. There's, we have the issues, the heart inflammation issues that may be happening. And they say that's rare. But look at it in context, guys. Look at it in context. It's also rare that someone that's young, healthy, for example, is going to die or be hospitalized from COVID. So is it worth them assuming an additional risk for definitely when we don't really know, or at least the positions kind of changing on the effectiveness of this? Like, that's a perfectly valid and a perfectly rational conclusion to come to. And that's that you may want to opt out. Not even opting out. You just don't want to opt in. More so what it is. This Israel thing is huge. I wonder how long until they start being more, obviously this was public, but when they're really starting to like sound the alarm, like, okay, look, it's not doing what we said. Not saying that you shouldn't get it, but it's not doing what we initially said that it was supposed to do. How long are we going to be dealing with that? Or what is it going to take for it to really get to that point? Because yeah, this data is available, but until it's like the CDC officially says this, it's like it never happened. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.